Greetings investigators! With Fantasy Flight Games going Innsmouth crazy in 2020, or at least as crazy as you can get in a global pandemic lockdown, you might be wondering what all the fuss is about. For those new to the mythos, The Shadow over Innsmouth is a novella by H.P. Lovecraft. It was written in 1931 and, like most of his work, was only published later in 1936. Unusually, this was his only work that appeared in an actual book as opposed to being sold to a magazine like his other stories. It had a run of a mere 200 copies and was so full of mistakes an errata sheet had to be issued. We know all about those, don't we, boys and girls? Although, after his death, an unauthorized and abridged version appeared in the January 1942 edition of Weird Tales. Because the work of H.P. Lovecraft is almost a century old, it is kind of out of copyright. It's complicated, but you can find the text of it for free at many legitimate sites on the internet. You might also find it in that collection of 10,000 ebooks you got free when you bought your reader. And of course, you can still buy it in book form, or better still, borrow it from your local library. Like when the pandemic ends, obviously. But not everyone is a natural reader, and reading text through a browser on a screen isn't particularly friendly. There are plenty of readings out there, both commercial and free, if you are more of a listener. But if you want something really top-notch, we recommend
Tales of intrigue, adventure, and the mysterious occult. This is Dark Adventure Radio Theatre.
This is a full cast recording with music, sound effects, actors, and the whole shebang. But better still, it is produced as a proper period piece in the style of a radio play from the 1930s, so it has station announcers, commercials, and the crackly hiss. This is what people would have been listening to at the time for entertainment. Way back in the mists of time, your ancestors, just after discovering fire, would have crowded around a wooden box like this and listened to people far away being all thespian. It was called the wireless. A wireless for all you youngsters was like borrowing someone else's iPod where none of the controls work and it is permanently on shuffle. You don't get to choose what it played, you just got what you were given. Go and watch the King's Speech. At about 77 minutes, this doesn't contain the whole text, but what it does do is give you an incredible sense of both atmosphere and detail. And unlike us, most of you weren't even a glint in the milkman's eye in the roaring 20s, so other than watching Downton Abbey, you don't really know the style and manner of speech that people used in that period. Reading a book won't give you that, but listening to this definitely will. So, when you are reading your flavor text, you can really get a clear picture of how it should sound, particularly for international listeners. You can download it digitally, either as one big file like a podcast, or with chapter breaks like an album, depending on how you like to categorize your media. You can also get it on CD, which comes with a digital download. And the best thing about this is it comes with props. You get a clipping from the New York Evening Graphic describing the government raid on Innsmouth. A genuine matchbook from Innsmouth Historic Gilman House Hotel. A souvenir postcard from the Newburyport Historical Society with a picture of their prized Innsmouth tiara. The illustration was created by noted fantasy artist Keith Thompson. A hand-drawn map of Innsmouth on the wrapping paper of the first national grocery chain. And yes, it really is scratch and sniff. Just scratch the oily stain to release the fishy aroma. These are amazing props, and if you do any role-playing would make great handouts, or you can use them to decorate your storage box for Arkham Horror. But that's not all. For anyone wanting maximum propage, there is the Innsmouth combo, where you receive all of the above, plus a CD and monograph of the curious sea shanties of Innsmouth, a tooth of Dagon, a scrimshawed megalodon shark's tooth carved by an Innsmouth sailor, an esoteric Order of Dagon hooded sweatshirt, made by American Apparel in the US, and an esoteric Order of Dagon membership card, which they'll print your name on. This will save you $30 when compared to buying these items separately in their store. If you find you like listening to this style of drama, then they've done all the classics, such as... That's right, the cheesy series of Reanimator films in the 1980s was based on a much better Lovecraft story. And if you want something to store them in, they do a fancy little cardboard box in the shape of an old-time wireless. You can always pick up a second box, or just the box itself, and use it as a deck box and token holder for your favourite investigator. Speaking of films, they've made their own films, proper black and white ones corresponding to the period. Their Call of Cthulhu movie is actually a real silent film and has won quite a few awards.